Hello everyone, it is Liam, the Deaf to Metalhead, and I'm doing a special collection update today because this is all from one label, and that is Morbid Chapel Records, as you probably gathered from the start of the video. So I got a wicked package sent to me with all of Valdemar's last year's releases and this year's early releases, all in one big stack. I'm absolutely amazed I get to do this. But yeah, I did a similar video last year, which you can check out above my head now. Basically what Morbid Chapel Records is a label out of Poland that is a underground kind of black metal label, but also death metal. It kind of varies. I mean, there's more the black metal if you're into your black metal cassettes. He's got tons of that kind of stuff, and also CDs. But he also has a wicked distro that gets stuff in from like Life After Death, Everlasting Spew, all the really good underground labels, especially the States ones, because he is the guy I go to if I want Life After Death releases in Europe. You know, he's got wicked stuff, so yeah, go check it out. I'll obviously leave links at everything I'm talking about. So the first band out of this stack is an American band that actually has disbanded. They've only been around a couple of years, and they put out this EP last year, and it has since ceased. They don't exist anymore. The band was formed in California from a guy called Kian Upholson, I think. He's a young guy who was a drummer and formed the band Putrid Tomb. This is a self-titled EP. Some American people might recognise this because this was also put out through Desert Wasteland Productions, but Morbid Chapel have the CD copy here in Europe. So what do you get with this band? So this is some filthy underground sounding death metal. So if you're into like autopsies, the really rough side of death metal where it's kind of just on the hinge of kind of all being a complete mess, it's kind of that vibe to it. I absolutely love this. This was really, really fun to listen to. Only about 5 tracks, yeah. And it is that raw, no nonsense kind of approach to death metal. It's got a very underground, old school feel to it. It's not over mass produced or nothing like that. It's just straight from the heart, really in your face, really raw, and you know how death metal you'd think should sound in your head, because you get a lot of modern bands now that go really crisp on the production, and it works for some. But this kind of music, it just would ruin it. This is the guy here, Kian, who formed the band, and this chap here, I believe, does all like the solos and that kind of thing. But reading up on the band, they've now since disbanded because he wanted to improve his drumming, because he didn't feel it wasn't good enough for this band anymore. Because he also did the vocals, which is obviously what the autopsy kind of thing reminded me of. And yeah, it's a shame really, because I really enjoyed this, and you know, CD, you know, very bare bones, and yeah, really solid death metal. So if you like that, obviously go check it out. But yeah, they don't exist anymore, so you won't get anything else from these guys yet. Maybe in the future, who knows? But yeah, Putrid Tomb, brilliant. Next one is an Italian band I'm well aware of. I have the previous demo from this band. This is Congenital Deformity with their latest demo, Sacrifice. This was out last year as well. Now, there is a documentary going around in the UK at the moment with about a bloke with a penis growing on his arm, which kind of fits the name of this band, Congenital Deformity. It's really funny. I was watching that the other day, and then I started listening to this and then just twigged, oh, there you go. Might be based on him, I don't know. But this is an Italian band, 2-piece of just no nonsense, again, death metal. This is a massive step up from the previous demo. This is a better production on the first 2 tracks, and then there's more of a rawer sound on the next 2. But like Chainsaw Surgery is spot on. The riffing, it's got kind of a Tomb Mold vibe to it, if you know that band. Very in your face. It's got almost like the Bleeding Cannibal Corpse era kind of vibe to it as well. But yeah, they're a really good band, and I'm surprised they've only done 2 demos, but they've only been around a couple of years. They formed in 2019, and this is their second demo from 2020, and it's only like 16 minutes long, so short and sweet. But you know, when these guys do a full length, I'll be all in, because it's great. Really good riffs. CD looks like that. And there's the lads looking all mysterious there in the tray. But yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. You know, I've got no complaints. I mean, I have the first one, so I kind of knew what I was going to get. And they're not expensive, so if you find these, do buy them. They're really good. Now, this was the next challenge. So Valdemar said to me, do you like, I know you like your black metal now, but do you want to try some more of the raw stuff? Because I've always said I don't really get it, but you know, I'm trying to kind of be open-minded about music. As I get older, I kind of be a bit more accessible, and if I think it's shit, I will happily say it's shit, but I won't say people won't like it. I don't get it. And this is kind of one of those bands, I like it and I don't like it, and I've listened to this about 6 or 7 times before I've done this video to kind of see if I could, you know, get into it. Now this is an Indonesian band, No idea when they formed, because on their Metal Archives is just, you know, all mysterious and dark, as black metal bands are. But this is the band Forbidden Tomb. Now, both of these albums came out in 2020. I think this is the first one, and this is the second one. Yeah. So as you can see, even the covers, you've got no idea what's going on in any of them because it's so raw and underground. But jokes aside, I mean, the whole raw black metal thing, for me, it has to have the music in there. I mean, I still don't understand why they don't do the whole crisper production or even barely audible production, because some of these is just like, what? And I really, really struggle to hear it. But for some reason, you know, this kind of music is really, really popular. And, you know, there's obviously something I don't understand, but there he is there in the shroud of darkness. But it's interesting because, like, there's melodies in the back of it, and there's another black metal band I'll show you. I found this one a bit easier than the next one. But again, I just don't understand the raw production, but there are melodies in there. And I found after a while I was listening to it, because there's like the dungeon synth thing as well, because it's got a bit of that in there as well. And I didn't mind that, because when I'm working, I listen to music in here all the time, because I work at home pretty much all the time now. And I can digest a lot of music, and it's how I can do these videos, you know, sometimes every week. And I've listened to these, like I say, 6 or 7 times, and I'm enjoying these a little bit more than I did at the start, because they were a bit weird. But if you're into your raw black metal, you know, go and give these a go. I mean, you probably already know this band, because I'm fairly sure these are quite popular anyway. But yeah, Forbidden Tomb, really cool, I think. Now this one I bought myself, but I haven't showed it on the channel yet, so I thought I'd throw it in with this update, because I completely forgot I hadn't showed it off yet. This is a band formed in 2020 from Costa Rica, another one-man project, and that is the band Solarcrypt, with the EP Rot in the Multidimensional Sewer. Now, this, I'm going to be straight up, reminded me a lot of the band Worm, if you know that band. It's very much, I don't think it's a copy, because that would be unfair, but it's certainly one-man band playing this really underground, cavernous sounding death metal with a kind of black metal funeral doom kind of vibe to it, but it's pure, you know, underground sounding death metal. Yeah, formed in 2020 in Costa Rica. Very bare bones design. The cover, as you can see, is pretty cool actually. You say this is John Paul Montero, who does everything: drums, guitar, bass, vocals, the works. And yeah, this I think came out in 2020, but then the 2021 the CD version for Morbid Chapel came out. But yeah, you got 4 tracks. Yeah, 4 tracks of just really raw underground sounding death metal with some like slowy doogie parts in there, some really trippy kind of solo-y bits, and it reminded me a lot of Worm, especially with the new album. It had that, you know, vibe to it. So if you've never checked out Solarcrypt, obviously give it a go. I'll leave links below. But it was interesting. But I paid my own money to this because I really liked it. So go check out Solarcrypt. Now back to some black metal, and this was the band in question that I really, really struggled with, and I still do a little bit. This is a one-man American band formed in, should we say, I don't know, it doesn't actually say. We're going to say probably, we don't know. Celestial Sword, with the album Fallen from the Astral Temple. Now, this is the debut album from 2020. 9 tracks of really raw black metal. And when I mean raw in its rawest form. Now, this guy's put out a lot of music. When I looked on Metal Archives, there was a lot on there. So he's involved in a lot of different things. And, you know, the guy is called Celestial Sword. All the hymns written and performed by, so I guess he does everything on here. I imagine it's programmed, but I don't know. And musically it was okay. It was, again, very underproduced, so I really struggled with that part of it, because I like to be able to hear the guitar riffs, I like to be able to hear the bass notes, and especially the bass notes and the drums and that kind of thing. And that is lacking to a point, but then I think that's the whole point behind the raw black metal side of it. It is underproduced, so you got to kind of get your head around that. But what I really struggled with was his vocals. The only way I could describe it is his vocal style sounds like if you were in a factory, like an abandoned factory, and there was a crow up in the top corner, and it echoed. It sounds like that to me. And once I had that image in my head, that's all I could hear, and then it made me giggle a few times. And then I asked my 9-year-old son to check it out and see what he thought, and he agreed with me. And I don't know, it took away from it. But then the more I've listened to it, musically I've got really into it. It's just his vocals just remind me of a crow. And some people might think that's really, really cool. And I imagine this guy's quite popular because he's done a lot of music. Don't get me wrong, the logo looks quite cool, and I like the imagery. But musically, it was a real challenge, this one. Really, this out of all of them was the one I find the hardest to listen to all the way through. I listen to it because once the CD's on, I'll get through it. I've never ever turned off an album in a long time, but yeah. It was an interesting challenge, put it this way. And then the next one was a split featuring Celestial Sword with another band called whatever that is down below, because I can't pronounce it. And this is just a non-titled split that came out in 2021, but this was released via Morbid Chapel Records on CD in 2022. Now, Celestial Sword has 6 tracks on this split, and then the next band has 3 tracks. This, I actually preferred the second band a lot. I really, really enjoyed whatever they're called. I can't pronounce it, but it was a really interesting listen because that is a German one-man project, and you look at the pictures of him on his Metal Archives, he looks very epic, and as you kind of would picture it. So it was quite cool to hear that because it had a better production. Vocally, it wasn't so, and it musically was really cool. And Celestial Sword, I like this more than the other album. Some of the tracks are better production, you know, it flowed better, and I love the cover. I think the cover is absolutely wicked. I really, really like that cover. So yeah, thank you Voldemar for testing my musical skills with listening to something that, I mean, some genres of music I just cannot listen to. Like, I won't get into that because I'll be here all night, but raw black metal was one I'm really, really struggling with, and these kind of made me feel like I couldn't give it another go because some of them, once you spend the time with them, you digest it better, and then musically it makes more sense, and then you're not just thinking, oh, the production shit, I have to turn it up, or the vocals sound like a dead bird, you know. It's alright, but yeah, if you're into your black metal and you're not listening to this, go and give it a go, because it is good. I do enjoy that split. Now, the next band was phenomenal. This is an American band, formed in 2020. This is their debut full length from 2021. 57 minutes long for a 2-piece band, and it is brilliant. Sludgy death metal by the band Obsidian Hooves, or Hooves, with Morbidity. This is fantastic. Absolutely love this album. Cover looks like that. I think it's a pig's head or a sheep's head wrapped in a sheet of plastic with some candles stuck on it. There are the lads there, looking all heavy metal. And this was brilliant. This is a fun listen. Now, like I say, it's a long album. Like when I first listened to this, I thought I've gone on to another CD. I didn't realise it was all one album. Like, it's not a doomy album at all. It has some sludgy kind of doomy moments in it, but this is just really raw, nasty, sludge-driven death metal. And it's really cool to hear it because you don't hear enough of bands like that. And when you do, they're kind of lacking in certain departments. These guys, the gruff vocals, the rawness of it, the heavy, it's just heavy as fuck. It really is. Well, you've got 8 tracks of just pure brutality. So if you've never checked out this band, this is the pick of the bunch for me. Probably Putrid Tomb as well. But you know, these are all killer really. I'm enjoying all these, but this one stood out the most because it kind of fits my kind of style and what I go to as my wheelhouse, as it were. So yeah, Obsidian Hooves, go check that one out. That was absolutely fantastic. Now, next one is an Austrian band. This is an older release. This band formed in 2007, and this is their debut full length from 2019. Blackened death metal 2-piece again. And this is, I'm going to pronounce this right, Abhorrot with Abysmal Echoes. There it is there, very dark cover. But yeah, black and death metal, really thick chasm sounding, really suffocating tones. It's very, very dark, like very heavy. It has that black metal vibe to it. And this one again was the one that it flowed, and it's a bit stale in the middle, but you know, I still enjoyed it. I've listened to this about 4 or 5 times, this actual album. But what can we say? So it's got that, like I say, chasmic sound. It's thick, it's heavy, it's dark, very dark. And I mean, I went it's hard because when I do my mixing of my CDs, I try and mix it with different styles of metal, so I'm not getting one hit of the same thing. And I think the few times I've had this on, I've had some like really slow Funeral Doom, and I've gone into this, and this is fast in some parts, and it gets, you know, really thick and heavy, and it's a great listen, but it's not one that sticks in my brain. I can't remember a specific riff, say, off this album. Like, the atmosphere is great, and as a whole album, it's fantastic, but I couldn't tell you a specific track to check out, or there's a specific riff that stands in my head. It's all just very much, it flows through, and at the end of it, you're like, it's all right, and that's the kind of vibe I got from it. But give it a go below and see what you think, because, you know, my opinion means fuck all, because your opinion will be totally different to mine. So yeah, Abhorrot with Abysmal Echoes. And the last one is a brand new release for 2022. This is a Romanian band, formed in 2020, and this guy is only 19 years old that does this whole album. He's got, I think, a few guest musicians to help him out with the drums and stuff like that. And that is the new one from Demoted, Away from the Living. Now, that cover is wicked. Now, this is done by a guy called Philip Garlonta, who's also in Putrid, Voris, and a few other bands. So if you're in Americans, you probably know him, because I think a lot of Putrid stuff is on either Life After Death or one of those American labels. This is fucking awesome. The only thing I found weird about it when I first heard it, I had no prior knowledge to the band prior to this. I had no idea who the members were, just listened to it musically, and he does one of the best Chuck Schuldiner impressions I've ever heard, especially the kind of Scream Bloody Gore era. His vocals are almost identical to it, and it's a bit weird because you think, oh, is he copying it? But being 19, you're going to be a bit impressionable, and I imagine he's probably a big Death fan. He's just kind of soaked up that vocal style, I assume. But I'm not going to say a quote unquote he's copied Death, because musically it's nothing like Death. It has vibes of Death, spat everywhere. It has vibes of like Scream Bloody Gore, but it's not as technical, or I mean, because it's a one-man project, so it's a bit stagnant in some parts with the riffs. It's very much, you know, he's finding his feet, but it's fantastic. And I think, I mean, he's only 19. He's already done way more than I've ever done at 19 on a guitar, and I think the more he grows, the more music will be more, you know, it'll be written in a more flowing way, I guess is the word. I'm talking out my arse, but what I got from this was it's just raw, very much straight from the heart death metal, very, very heavily inspired by bands like, I say, Death and stuff like that, maybe a bit of Obituary in there as well, Slowly We Rot, and I love all that, so I have no complaints. I mean, bands like what's that band with the Savage Lands, can't remember the band name, but they pretty much sound like Death, and they've, you know, they've done alright for themselves, and they, again, very much inspired by the band Death. And Demoted is no different, really, to me. It sounds the same to a point, a bit more raw, a bit more DIY, should we say. It's not as flush, big studio production, but I love the artwork, booklet, even the fonts on the booklet I really, really like. But yeah, just a really, really cool album. I was very surprised by this one because I had no prior knowledge of this band whatsoever. Just that it was some death metal and I'd like it, and you know, Valdemar was dead right. So go check out some Demoted. So that is the whole stack from Morbid Chapel Records. So please go and check out the links below to all these bands and his label and distro, because like I say, Poland, you can save a lot of money on shipping if you're after, say, like some American releases like Life After Death. I think he's actually cheaper shipping than Everlasting Spew, so if you're after some of their releases, he's got that in there. He does vinyl, CDs, tapes, the whole fucking lot. So hope you enjoy the video. Please like the video if you watched it to the end, and obviously if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and checking out the other Morbid Chapel Records video and all other sorts of shite that I've got on offer. So until then, I'll speak to you guys in the comment section. Take care.